Hello, my name is Nathan Hall, and I'm from LISTN, and this is an introduction to Twitter and Twitter chats. First off, what is Twitter? Essentially, Twitter is what they call a microblog. A microblog, if you really break it down, is just a small version of a blog, which is a diary online. And so really what you're doing is you're using a very limited character set, in this case 140 characters, in order to share what you are doing, what you're thinking, maybe share something you found, a photo or a video. And that's all done in just that very short 140 character limit. It came out of texting, so that's why you have the 140 character limit. And the idea was that when we texted with one another, maybe you text to one person or a few people, it really was for a very limited group. But the idea came about, what if I could share some of these thoughts and ideas on a website, and then I could just text them in. I could use my phone to do that. So it came out before smartphones. And so the idea really is to have a very short thought or idea posted, and it's meant to work well on basically anything. You can have a tablet or a phone or a computer, and you can access Twitter, you can send tweets, you can even post photos and videos in a very simple way. Setting up a Twitter account is really easy. First off, it's free. You don't have to pay for anything. You do have to use name and email, and for some situations they'll verify it with your telephone number as well too, and that's really just to make sure somebody doesn't hack your account later on. When you set up, they're going to ask you for a username, and the username is something that, like for example, my username is Nathan Hall, or I have the example on here of Listen, and that is what people see as your name. But then there's something called a handle, and really what this is your Twitter account. And so there's a little @ symbol. So if you take a look at the example on the screen here, it has Listen Canada, but just before that there's a little @ symbol, and it's all one word. There's no spaces. There's it's not very long normally, and so the idea behind the handle is that is what tells Twitter who you are talking to. And so in a tweet, which is a little post of that 140 characters, I can put someone's handle in there, and that means that they would then get a notification that there's a tweet with their name in it. And so it would then alert them, and they can check on that, and they can reply to that. Now, when you set up a Twitter account, you can set it up as either private or public. By default, it's normally public, which means that anybody can find you and anybody can read your tweets. You can set up a private Twitter account, but it starts to defeat the purpose behind the social media part of it, in the sense that you have a very limited group. It's only if you allow someone to follow you. In other words, somebody goes and says, I want to read your tweets, and then you say, okay, I give you permission. Though that very small group are the only people that are going to be able to read your tweets. And so for most situations, I would advise that you go public, but be aware that everything you tweet then is public. So don't just start tweeting personal information on there. Be aware that everything you tweet possibly could be seen by somebody else. So what does it mean to follow someone on Twitter? So when you sign up for Twitter, you actually see nothing in your news feed. So actually, as you go down through your Twitter feed, there's nothing there because you're not following anybody yet. So then the idea behind that is you say, I want to follow this person. So you go and you follow them, and then anything they tweet, well, almost anything they tweet appears in your news feed. I'll come back to what I mean by that in a little bit. But basically, things that they tweet will appear in your news feed. And so as you begin to follow people, more and more tweets will begin to appear in your news feed. So as you go through your your feed. You can then read other people's tweets, reply to them, even save them. There are ways of doing that. And so just the idea behind tweets is this. If I post something online and someone goes to my account and they go through and they see what I've been tweeting, they can see everything that I've tweeted. But not everything appears in the news feed. When we start a tweet with the handle, remember that's the @ symbol and then that name of a person. If I start a tweet with that, that will not necessarily appear in the news feed. So let's give it this way. Let's say it's me, Nathan, and I'm following Joe and Bob. So I'm following both Joe and Bob. If Joe sends a message to Cheryl with the @ symbol at the beginning, I won't see it. Not unless I go to Joe's account and I look for it. It won't show up on my newsfeed because I'm not following Cheryl. But if Joe sends a message to Bob with the @Bob at the beginning or whatever it is for Bob's handle, I will see that because I'm following both Joe and Bob. So I have to be following both people in order to see that on my newsfeed. Also the same is if I tweet to Joe, Bob will see my tweet as well. But Cheryl won't unless she's following both Joe and me. And so it gets a little bit complicated that way, but just note this. Not everything that a person tweets will appear in your news feed. So let's just go back to that example again. Let's say I want to send a message to Joe, but I want everybody to see my tweet to Joe. So maybe I'm saying something really great about Joe. Joe has been very helpful today or something like that. And I want to share that with the world. Well, the way to do that little trick is that you put a little period before you put the @ symbol. So for example, if Joe's handle is @Joe, I would put .@Joe, and then I say my message. Now everybody can see that tweet if they follow me or if they go to my account. Because once I put anything before the @ symbol, it becomes a public tweet. I hope I haven't confused you too much with that, but basically the idea is this. In Twitter, everything you tweet could possibly be seen by someone, but don't assume that everybody sees that tweet. If you want everybody to see that tweet, don't start your tweet with an @ symbol. Start it with a period or something else. You can put a word or anything before that. So for example, with Joe's, I could say, I want to thank @Joe for his help today. And everybody would see that because there is something before the @ symbol. Now, let's just say, for example, somebody starts following you and they start, I don't know, saying unkind things to you. Or maybe you're just not very comfortable with what this person does. Well, you can block a person. Blocking a person means that they will not be able to send any messages to you. They can still see your tweets. They just cannot send any messages to you. So that's kind of handy because you sometimes, and you won't see their tweets, by the way. Even if you block them, it will unfollow them and you will not be able to see their tweets. So it's kind of handy in one way, but just note that even if you block somebody, it doesn't necessarily mean they can't see what you are tweeting. So anyway, basically it's this. Follow people you like, block people you don't, and assume that everything you tweet could possibly be seen. But if you really want to make sure that, put something before the @ symbol. So you've probably heard the term hashtag before. And a hashtag really is just a word or a bunch of words put together as one word with a number sign or pound sign or hashtag sign before it. Why do we use them? Well, basically it's this. Let's say, for example, I'm on Twitter and I decide I want to search for anything that has to do with link. For those who are link instructors in Canada, you would understand what that means. So I want to find anything that has to do with link. Well, here's a problem. LINC might be also part of another word. In other words, it could be part of a whole word, or it might be used as for another purpose altogether. And so if I start to search just link, I'm going to end up with tweets that aren't necessarily about link instruction in Canada. And so what they've done is they've come up with this idea that if you put the number sign and then the word with no spaces, so in other words, number sign LINC, and if I post that in my tweet and someone else searches for hashtag link, they will then find my tweet. That's handy because we can start to put hashtags in a tweet in order to make that searchable. People can find it by topic. It's almost like putting them under headings or under topics. And so that's where the whole idea for hashtags came out of. Now, you'll sometimes see there's some kind of funny hashtags, and you're thinking, why would somebody put that? Well, nobody would search for that. Well, that's the whole idea. They're sometimes used in irony or humorously. And so hashtags can be used, have another purpose as well too. And as you begin to go along, you'll start to get an idea what that means. But another confusing thing that comes up with hashtags is people think you have to use a certain hashtag. Like somebody creates a hashtag somewhere and then I have to use that one. Actually, anybody can make up any hashtag they want. As long as you put the number sign and no space before your word, you can then essentially create a hashtag. Now, if you're the only person who knows a hashtag, that wouldn't be very handy because no one else would be searching for that hashtag. But think about something like this. I'm going to a conference next weekend, and at that conference, we're going to be using an official hashtag. So anybody who tweets something and uses the hashtag in their tweet, in other words, at the end, at the beginning, in the middle, it doesn't matter. Anywhere within the 140 characters, as long as they use that hashtag in their tweet, anybody who searches that hashtag will find it. And so in this case, the conference has an official hashtag. We can search for the hashtag, we can find all the tweets, and we can reply to them. So this is a great way for being able to, especially at a conference, being able to find people who are also at the conference. And then I can start following them. Remember, I don't have to follow them to read the tweet. But if I do follow them, then anything else they tweet from there on out, I will be able to see it in my newsfeed. So it's just a handy way of being able to organize information. And that leads us to the chats. And how do we use hashtags in chats? One of the things that's come out of using Twitter for professional development is the Twitter chat. Now, it might sound strange at first. There's only 140 characters. What can you do? But you'd be amazed at what can be done during a Twitter chat. So for the last few years, I've been involved in one called ELT Chat. And basically what happens is every Wednesday, there's a topic. We get together, there are moderators, and they share questions, and they keep the conversation going. And we then discuss that topic. How do we do that? Well, basically what happens is I'll send a tweet, but somewhere in my tweet, I will use the specific hashtag. In this case, hashtag ELT chat. That's all one word. So you'd have basically you'd use a space before the hashtag, so before the number sign. It'd be space, number sign, ELTCHEAT. And then that would be your hashtag that you would use. You'd have to make sure there's a space after that as well. As long as you have a space before and a space after and no spaces in the hashtag, everybody will be able to see that if they're following that hashtag. So it comes along at the time that we've decided on, and you start following that hashtag. How do you follow a hashtag? Well, essentially you do a search for it. So in Twitter, you can do a search for hashtag ELT chat, and you just then can start following it. Now, the Twitter web app doesn't work very well for chats because it doesn't do very well with real-time scrolling of up-to-date tweets. What it tends to do is it bunches things together. So a few tweets will happen and then it will display those. And that's a real problem because it would be like having a conversation. All of a sudden you have a whole pile of messages, flooding your inbox at once. You don't want to have that happen. So there are other ways of being able to do that. There are a number of online resources that you can then tweet from and use to follow a chat. And one of them comes automatically with your Twitter account. It's called TweetDeck. And TweetDeck is owned by Twitter. And in TweetDeck, you can create columns of hashtags. Actually, you can make columns out of almost anything. But let's just say I'm in TweetDeck and I create a column that follows ELT chat. And in real time, it will continue to display messages as they get tweeted with that hashtag. And they will appear at the top. And so at that point, I can reply to them. And in my reply, I just make sure I put in the hashtag ELT chat. And everybody who's following that hashtag can see my tweet, my reply to that person. This goes on for about an hour. And during that hour, we cover a lot of topics. And the idea goes in about 20 different directions and sometimes can be a bit confusing. But really, it's a really great time to just get together with people who are like-minded, facing the same issues. Some people have more experience, some people less, and are doing that to be able to help one another grow professionally. We have set up a Twitter chat for link providers across Canada called LinkChat. LinkChat, again, uses the same hashtag LINCCHAT, no spaces. And if you want to join in, all you have to do is have a Twitter account, and all you have to do is tweet using the LinkChat hashtag in your tweet. Now, you don't want to just randomly throw out messages. You want to make sure that it's following along a conversation. So again, you want to use a certain type of Twitter function like TweetDeck or something like that that'll allow you to be able to see real-time messages of a certain hashtag, and you can then tweet and reply back. It might sound scary, but really it's not. And really what I've suggested to a number of people is just come the first time, and you can even just tweet at the beginning and say, hey, I'm just wanting to sit back and listen for a while, or in this case, read along for a while. And as long as you tweet that first tweet with hashtag LinkChat, everybody will see it. And then you can continue to read along with the chats, as the tweets during the chat time as they come along. And whenever you feel like you have something to share, just join in. Tweet with the hashtag LinkChat anywhere in the tweet, and we'll see it. So that makes it really easy. You don't have to do any joining or any type of subscription service or anything like that. You literally, it's a Twitter account and a hashtag. That's it. So for LinkChat, we meet every 2 weeks on a Tuesday evening, and we have a specific topic, and there are two people, Svetlana and myself, who run LinkChat as moderators. And what we do is we'll throw out questions, but we don't have to follow those questions exactly. The conversation can go in different directions, but we use those questions to kind of spark something to get things going. At the end of that hour, we then collect all of those and we archive them. And so that even if you are not able to participate during that time, you can read the tweets afterward. That's where the hashtag comes in handy again, because we can say between this time and this time, what were the tweets that had LinkChat in it? And then we can sort them, and so it's more readable that way. And then they're also more searchable that way, because then you can search through just that specific time instead of through all of the chats we've ever had. So Twitter chats are great because the best part about them is it connects people from basically anywhere in the world. Now, in this case, we're looking for people who are teaching Link in Canada, so it's across Canada. But to give you an example, in the last Twitter chat, we had people from Saskatchewan, BC, Alberta, BC, and Ontario. And we know of others who want to join in from Saskatchewan and so forth. So it gives us an opportunity to connect with people across Canada and just share some of the things that we're struggling with, some of the things we've had some successes with, and questions we have, and we can learn from other people. So I'm hoping that you'll join in with a Twitter chat. It doesn't have to be link chat. It can be ELT chat, ELL chat. There's Ed chat. There's all sorts of different chats out there. And if you're curious about some of those, I'll be posting a link to some of those and where you can find out information about joining those as well. I have posted information on link chat on the link chat group on Tutela. But if you do have any questions, you can also let me know. You can use, back in this presentation, there was the LISTN account. So at LISTN Canada. And LISTN is without an E, by the way. So it's LISTN CANADA. And you just have the little at symbol at the beginning. And as long as that's in your tweet, I will get it. And then I will be able to reply back to you as well. So thank you for your time, and I hope this has been helpful. If you do have any questions, please let me know, and I will try to get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you. Bye-bye.